When the stone flew faster than an arrow, a fortress's mighty wall turned to dust, and the age of castles trembled. Night blankets the European landscape. Torches flicker across the battlements of stone castles, casting elongated shadows that dance across cold, ancient walls. Inside, soldiers clutch their weapons, tension tightening their muscles. Outside, on distant hills, engineers, carpenters, blacksmiths, and laborers move tirelessly in the cold, orchestrating an intricate ballet of wood, rope, and metal. They are creating machines that will redefine warfare engines of destruction, capable of throwing stones heavier than a man, striking fear into the hearts of defenders. These were the medieval war machines born of necessity, fueled by ingenuity, and designed to challenge the notion that a stone wall could guarantee safety. Castles represented power, stability, and defense. Thick stone walls, massive gates, and towering battlements had long made them near impenetrable. For centuries, invaders relied on brute force, siege towers, or subterfuge. Yet the balance of power shifted as engineers turned their minds to the art of destruction. Early machines like the Onager, a torsion-powered Roman-inspired catapult, and mangonels, simple hurlers of stone, were the precursors of a revolution. While capable of launching projectiles, these machines struggled against the most fortified walls. Their limitations highlighted the need for greater engineering precision, larger payloads, and innovative mechanics. The seeds of the trebuchet were planted. By the 12th and 13th centuries, the trebuchet arose as the ultimate siege weapon. With counterweights, long levers, and precise calculations, it could hurl stones exceeding 100 kilograms across hundreds of meters. Its design was both simple and elegant. A massive counterweight dropped, propelling a long arm and flinging the projectile toward the enemy. Accuracy required careful adjustment of angles, counterweight mass, and release mechanisms. Even a minor miscalculation could send the stone off course, or worse, damage the machine itself. Across Europe, variations like the traction trebuchet, powered by teams of men pulling ropes in unison, coexisted with counterweight designs. These machines weren't just tools of destruction. They were statements of engineering mastery and symbols of psychological warfare. The sight and sound of massive stones flying through the air struck fear into garrisons, often achieving more with intimidation than direct damage. Constructing a trebuchet demanded labor, precision, and endurance. Hundreds of men were involved. Carpenters shaped timber, blacksmiths forged iron components, and soldiers coordinated logistics. Mistakes could be catastrophic: a snapped rope, a rotten beam, or misaligned release could send destruction inward, harming the operators themselves. Beyond the technical challenges, the human drama was immense. Soldiers and engineers shared moments of pride and anxiety, witnessing firsthand the power of human ingenuity applied to the chaos of war. The trebuchet was not merely a machine, it was a testament to teamwork, creativity, and determination under pressure. While the trebuchet became the star of medieval warfare, it was part of a larger arsenal. Ballistae, massive crossbows, could pierce armor and stone alike. Battering rams broke through gates with brute force, and more inventive engineers hurled flaming materials or diseased carcasses to terrorize and weaken defenders. In the Middle East, Muslim engineers refined traction trebuchets, while European engineers experimented with massive counterweight machines, often exchanging knowledge indirectly through captured texts or observation. These machines shaped the strategies of armies, requiring meticulous planning, logistics, and synchronization, turning warfare into an intellectual as well as physical contest. The Siege of Stirling Castle in 1304 marks one of the most dramatic chapters of medieval engineering. King Edward I of England commissioned Warwolf, the largest trebuchet ever built. Moving its enormous timbers across rough terrain and assembling it on site required months of planning, hundreds of laborers, and careful coordination. When Warwolf finally fired, the castle walls trembled. Stones weighing over 135 kilograms slammed into battlements, shattering masonry with deafening impact. Chroniclers described walls collapsing as if they were sand, and defenders were paralyzed by fear. The trebuchet was not only a physical force, but a psychological weapon. The roar of falling stone, the sight of crumbling walls, and the inevitability of destruction broke morale even before the walls fell completely. This moment exemplifies the peak of medieval siegecraft, where engineering, human effort, and psychological strategy combined to change the course of a battle and, in some cases, a kingdom's fate. Trebuchets, while iconic, were just one component of the siege arsenal. Engineers deployed Onagers to launch smaller stones rapidly, ballistae to target towers and archers, and battering rams to smash gates. Each machine had its own strategic use, requiring careful coordination and a deep understanding of terrain, enemy fortifications, and troop deployment. The logistical challenge of maintaining ammunition, manpower, and operational secrecy became as important as battlefield courage. Commanders who mastered this interplay of engineering, psychology, and brute force often emerged victorious, even against numerically superior forces. The emergence of these machines reshaped the medieval world. Castle design evolved with thicker walls, rounded towers, angled bastions, and deep moats to counter the threat of trebuchets. Armies became more specialized, blending knights, archers, and engineers into coordinated units. Siege warfare was no longer merely a test of strength. It became a contest of intellect, planning, and resources. The influence of these machines extended into politics. Kings who could afford massive siege engines gained leverage, forcing rivals to negotiate or surrender. Even after the advent of gunpowder artillery, these wooden giants were used, valued for their simplicity, effectiveness, and psychological impact. Medieval war machines were more than destructive tools. They were symbols of human creativity, resilience, and problem solving. They show us that even in an era of swords and armor, intellect could determine victory. Looking at the ruins of castles, the echoes of engineers, laborers, and soldiers can still be felt. Their stories endure of ingenuity, overcoming obstacles, skill shaping destiny, and a time when timber, rope, and stone could decide the fate of kingdoms. If you enjoyed this journey into the forgotten chapters of history, subscribe and uncover more stories where invention, warfare, and human ingenuity collide.